For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.
Getting back to other planets. So there's Venus, there's Mars. Are there other planets that
Yeah,
might have?
we have a lot of life on Mars, of course. You have Venus, Mercury, but also right outside the orbit of Mars, there's a planet that nobody ever talks about that's well documented. It has more fresh water on it than Earth. And that planet is
Really?
called Ceres. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Ceres. Ceres.
Okay.
Ceres, Ceres. And it's a small planet, but it's just outside the orbit of, it's really the fifth planet, to be honest with you. And it's got these amazing lights on when we sent the probe by it a few years ago, and they appear to be artificial lights. So it appears like there's maybe active cities or something on this planet. And they try to downplay it and say, oh, maybe it's the sun reflecting off of ice particle. They try to come up with anything they could, but based on the angles and based on the imagery over a course of time, as it made the approach, the probe made the approach, the lights never changed and the shadow never changed, which means that these were actually artificially lit areas or something that's glowing in a way that appears to be artificially lit areas, but the planet itself has more fresh water on it than Earth. Yeah. And they don't even hardly talk about it. Ceres. I don't even know if it's in any high school books yet. Maybe it will be by now, but yeah,
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, amazing planet.
Yeah, I've never. This is the first time I've heard of it, actually.
Yeah. Then right after Ceres, you have the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt was a planet named Tiamat, according to the Enuma Elish. And that was a water-bearing world with a lot of solid land as well, about 6 times larger than Earth. It was said that it was so beautiful when the sun would shine on it because the sun gleaming off the water would rival the own sun's glory, according to the ancient tablets. So this was a beautiful place to view from Earth and other places, almost like the way that it would reflect the light from the water, almost like having another sun in the sky. Really, a massive planet, which, according to the Enuma Elish, exploded. And some interpret it different ways. Some interpret it as it collided with the moon of Nibiru and exploded. And some interpret it as, because of the way that it's worded, as a galactic war that happened and a massive weapon was used on it, which caused it to explode. But it became the asteroid belt, which is what's out there now, right after Ceres. And then, then beyond there, you have the gas giants, Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune, and Uranus, and so forth. And then very edge, you have Pluto. You have a couple other small planets on the outside of Pluto as well, which nobody really talks about. But when we went by Pluto, we got the first ever high-quality HD images, which I couldn't believe they sent them back about 3 years ago. There's anomalies on Pluto that we discovered all over the planet, and some of them are pyramids. So what are pyramids doing on Pluto? Incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. A lot to think about. So, okay, so there's life out there, but, when we see, like, say Mars, it's mostly in ruins. I have my theory. I want to hear your theory on it. And I'm just downloading some information from you, through you. But why is Mars, say, mostly in ruins or, relics?
Well, because it was a lot of war. So we had we had 2 pyramid wars in the ancient text, and the last pyramid war was during the rule of Amun-Ra. Now, Amun-Ra is also known as Marduk. He had 2 names. He called himself Marduk, and he was also Amun. And this is actually, he was the one who ordered people to say amen at the end of prayers to give him thanks. That's how it got. And it got.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when giving thanks to a brutal ruler who, he's the one who had all the different gods that were in hieroglyphs, faces etched away and chipped off, and all the noses chipped off. It didn't happen in more modern times. This stuff is ancient. I've been to these temples all over the world and into Egypt and all the different areas, and all the homegrown archaeologists will say the same thing. Amun-Ra told Akhenaten to have these faces removed. So, but anyway, the point I was trying to get to was that what was the line of questioning again on the Mars? So,
Mars, like just relics, just
he started these wars against his relatives on Earth, and some of his relatives had bases on Mars. They were mining Mars and Earth for resources to take back to their planets. Some in the Orion and some in this planet named Nibiru that orbits a brown dwarf star, and some in the Ceres system as well. So it was a big mining operation going on here for all types of ores and stuff like that, not just gold. There were many things they were mining. Then these working class EGG, the Anunnaki called the EGG, they wanted to go to war. And then the other, his other relatives all wanted to be, proclaimed as gods over the people that they ruled over. And he got jealous of all of this and said, I want it all. Everybody needs to worship me. I'm the one and only God. I'm the only one that should be getting worshiped. I'm the only one that everybody should answer to. And he started going to war against his own relatives, all these other people on Earth, on the moon, and on Mars, because there were bases on the moon as well. Because it makes sense to have a base on the moon because the launch capabilities are extremely easy because of low gravity. So between the three, Mars, Earth, Mars, and Earth, Moon, and Mars, there were these battles going forth. And you can find relics of damaged anomalies and broken anomalies on the moon, as well as on Mars. And Mars, I think, whatever weapon they used. Now, modern peer-reviewed science discovered weapons-grade xenon in the soil. This is from the rovers, as well as from the global surveyor in the atmosphere as well. You have weapons-grade xenon. That's used in nuclear bombs. So now we have evidence that something happened so brutal to the planet that it shifted its crust slightly, which caused a global flood, like a global tsunami. And that destroyed almost everything. And that's why it's like that right now.
So is there still life on Mars?
There's some survivors up there now. There's images that we've downloaded that have anomalies that are looking at the camera on the rover. Now, I've never seen a statue that turns to look. We even have one that's facing away from the rover, and the anomaly turns and looks at the rover like this. Now, I never seen a statue made like that before. I just never saw a statue made with why would you do that?
Yeah.
So I think that there's potentially life up there, or maybe part of a breakaway civilization that is actually us up there. According to some of the conspiracies, like with alternative free and things like that. There could be some of us up there in an early breakaway civilization that has been formed, and infrastructure could be being developed up there to be able to take on these billionaires that are headed to Mars on a one-way trip, like Elon Musk and many others.
So my theory on that, just tapping in, is that how things decay. Decay is through a process of time and space. So basically a disconnect. And then as it removes itself from time, it starts to decay or vanish in front of us. That makes sense? Because you'd have to have some kind of resonance or density, right? Or time to resonate. And then that's where you get density from what I see. So think of it this way. So some of the relics that you see or, are on these photos. So say Mars, their time frame resonates at a higher frequency. And then since that is not, say, parts of a building or whatever it might be, they throw that away. So it starts to decay just like things decay here, right? Buildings decay here on Earth. So basically time slows down, or the frequencies slow down to a level that we can see it. It comes into, say, our range of mechanisms of, whether it's a camera or our eyes. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I just did a whole lecture about that yesterday.
Oh, you didn't? No. Damn, I thought it was my idea. Okay. No, at least we can back each other up. So that's the way I see, because they're resonating at a higher frequency, and that's why they're more intelligent than us, and so on, just because they're at a higher frequency. Does that make sense? But we've actually, I think, for us, we're more intelligent because we've created more density. So although the price that we paid is that we're dumber because we can't access our complete, say, abilities to create this much density. So, but that's cool. I'll have to listen to your lecture on how that works. That's pretty well. So you have a lot of stories, but is there like ancient text or books or anything like that to back this up?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest ones that I recommend is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth are some of the oldest writings on this planet. I did a book
Can you
called...
spell that just for our audience?
Yeah, Emerald, Emerald Tablets,
okay.
T-E-L-E-T-S of T-H-O. So And I did a book called Compendium of the Emerald Tablets so that I can break down what's in it, because a lot of people were reading the Emerald Tablets, but not really getting an understanding. There's only more getting the esoteric, but not getting the scientific, the metaphysical, and the technology that was also inside of there. So I did a compendium of the Emerald Tablets, which has now broken down all the information in a way that the average person can not only understand it, but then begin to recognize what's being used as tech, what's being used as metaphysics, what's being taught as esoteric messages and everything else. And I also show side by side words in modern religious books and how those words were copied directly out of the Emerald Tablets, which predated by thousands of years. So I did the compendium. It's a bestseller right now on Amazon. It's doing phenomenal. I think I have 14,000 copies out now.
Oh, wow. That's pretty well.
Yeah, it's doing phenomenal.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it was amazing. I mean, it's like, the numbers are just incredible. And they just keep going up. I'm thinking, okay, but it just keeps going up. It's like 2,000 books a week now. It's like, wow, incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome. It's awesome. A lot of people are interested. That's why you're here.
Yeah. And then the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation, I've done a lot of lectures on that. That's, ancient texts that were discovered in cuneiform writing etched into stone, right in Iraq. They found about 1 million of these tablets there. This one particular writing is the Enuma Elish. And what's so amazing about it, Marduk, who's Amun-Ra, who made it into the Torah and also into even the modern day Bible, his name and his information about him is now all the way back in these ancient stone tablets that predate everything by thousands and thousands of years. But that has so much information about the battles, the wars, the masquerade of gods and how they use humans and how they genetically modify people to become slaves for them and all this other stuff. It's all in these ancient tablets. It's not even a conspiracy anymore. And anybody can translate them now because the UCLA has an online UCLA cuneiform CDLI library. And what you do is you go there and you take a stone off the virtual shelf and drop it into the translator, and then you can read the stone for yourself. You don't even need to worry about this and that, and what their opinion was about it. You can read it yourself now.
Really?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, man.
You can actually go do that on your own?
Yeah. For free.
So where do you go?
It's the UCLA CDLI cuneiform library. It's online. Yeah, UCLA CDLI cuneiform.
That's pretty well. I got to check that out.
Yeah, man.
So, you talked about the Bible. I'm just going to read this. It says Genesis in the Bible talks about separating the waters from the waters and creating a firmament. So, conspiracy theorists, they believe that this means we're living on a flat earth in a dome.
Yeah.
What do you?
That information is taken directly, what you just read about the separating water from the waters, that's directly quoted directly from the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation. Okay. And so that is the part where Tiamat is talking about the part where they only took a small piece of it out. But if there's a collision or an attack on Tiamat, the water world I told you about that turned into the asteroid belt, it explodes. And now here's the separation of the waters from the waters. Tiamat was a water world. So when it broke apart, a gigantic chunk of it swung away, gravitationally falling towards the sun, found this orbit that we're in now, with all the water and organic material already on it recoalesced into a planet, which we now call Earth. Earth wasn't here during that explosion of Tiamat. Earth is a product of that explosion. And Tiamat began to still break into smaller and smaller chunks, which became the asteroid. But there are some very large ones, but not as large as our planet Earth. So, that's how we got Earth here. Now, when we swung and fell into this orbit, we pulled one of the moons of Tiamat with us, which is our moon now. And that moon was gravitationally tugged with us into this position. That's why the moon has no geological material on it from the Earth. There's no ever a collision that created our moon with Earth and something else. That moon was pulled here from being ancient times, and it was when we were part of Tiamat. And this is why, and that was what they were talking about in the Enuma Elish. They separated the waters from the waters between the 2 planets, water there and water here. And then the second part of the water was the atmosphere itself. So we have a separation between here and the heavens, and it holds our water on our planet. And it's all explained directly like that in the Enuma Elish. It has nothing to do with a flat planet or a flat Earth or a flat world or nothing like that.
Thank
Anybody who
God.
doesn't understand physics would never
Yeah.
understand. Basic physics tell you that the universe works on spheres.
Yeah. It's also, yeah, that's the most efficient
Yeah, exactly.
form object. So, so if Earth was is a piece, so what you just said, so there's no more pieces left of the original planet that Earth came out of, or is there a larger chunk out there somewhere, or?
The asteroid belt. All those pieces in the asteroid belt were part of Tiamat.
Oh,
The
okay.
asteroid belt is
Got
a
it.
gigantic ring of broken up pieces of a giant planet. And this is why when the miners go into mines on Earth and they go down, 300 million years, 500 million years in terms of Earth layers, they find pottery and all kind of trinkets and things. They're going, what the hell is this? Hammers and tools. How can this be? How can this be down here in 500 million year old layers? Well, that's because that's a part of Tiamat. We were a part of a planet that already had a civilization on it. And what you're finding are relics from that planet on Earth.
Mm.
That's what you're finding. When we were part of another civilization in millions and billions of years ago.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can see that. I lost my train of thought. So, well, anyway, proof of life, because you say it's part of another civilization.
Yeah.
So, how could life persist in such, inhospitable like conditions, or maybe they did at one time,
Well,
or how does that work?
we're thinking that they're inhospitable, but when you look at the science data from the Mars REMS, for example, it's a REMS unit that takes the Mars weather on a daily basis, analyzes it, and transmits it to the surveyor, which transmits it back to Earth. So you have a weather satellite, basically. The barometric pressure is recorded, the oxygen levels are recorded, carbon, all the gases, argon, helium, all that's recorded. And we now see that, in my opinion, if you're very close to the surface of the planet, like within no more than 5 to 8 feet above the surface, but I'm 6'4", so not much higher than my head, you would be able to breathe. It's like being about 17,000 feet above sea level on Earth. But the Tibetan monks don't have a problem breathing up there. So me and you might need an acclimation time period. But
Definitely.
yeah, but they're fine. Okay. So it's a very thin, and the closer you get to the ground, the thicker the atmosphere becomes. Matter of fact, if you're laying flat on your back, you wouldn't even have a problem breathing at all. So all you would need is like an acclimation mask. And the majority of the people, from what I see now in my team, the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, we see that there appear to be these underground areas where people are going under. There's openings and what look like to be hatches that go beneath the surface. So the majority of these survivors, or maybe the breakaway civilization, whoever it is up there, seem to be living underground, not above ground. So, and then on other planets, like I said, Mercury has more oxygen than we have here on Earth. They have liquid water, so they have exactly what they need to be able to survive there. And then Venus, I'm not exactly sure how they survive, and if there really is a breakaway, a greenhouse gas effect on the planet. That I don't know. All I know is what I saw, and what anybody can go look up and see is that there appear to be intact building structures on the surface.
So your research has made you and your team come to the conclusion that there is intelligent life in the solar system. So photographic proof, evidence.
Yeah, well, we have tons of photos of what looked like to be people. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. Do we know for sure 1,000% that we're looking at people? We can't say that because we're not there. We're looking at photographic evidence. But we have some of our data has made it to like Ancient Aliens and other shows, which look things that look like statues, and we can see something that looks like an inanimate object. And a lot of our anomalies are a lot very clear, not this grainy. We found a lot of clear things that you can see without using any kind of apparatus or photoshopping. And we've got a lot of statues. We know what a statue looks like, and we know what carvings look like. But then we have things where we have what look like people that look like they're moving or looking. We even have this one that looks like a family of 3, 2 kids and a person that appears to be like a woman, just appears. but is almost stunned at the rover, because when the rover turns the pan to take this swath of imagery, they stand back against the wall, and she's holding one hand of one kid, one hand of another kid, or what looks like to be kids. We can't say they're kids, but what looks like to be kids, and pinned up against the wall, almost like in fear. This is another picture we've got. We've got a picture of what looked like a couple falling down on the ground and looked like they died right there, kind of like a Mohenjo-daro type of an incident, whether it's whatever killed them, we don't know, but they're laying side by side. Now, hundreds of anomaly hunters now all over the world have gone through the same image number and found it and documented it. Sometimes we come up with different perceptions of what's there, but everybody comes up with the same one on this image. So, and then also there's a riverside, what looks to be a riverside now, with these look like to be mammals at the edge of the water that I myself. So there's so much going on here, and you're going, how can it be this anomaly? If it's a cold, barren, dry, cold rock with nothing on it, and I get an image that's less than a square mile, or less than a quarter of a mile, why am I finding hundreds of things in that? If I find one or two things, okay, yeah, it's just a coincidence. But when you can find hundreds of things in a small area, then you got to say, wait a minute, something is going on here. We've got to analyze this better, because something is truly here. You can find hundreds of anomalies in this small square patch of an image. And then for every square you go, you keep finding more. It's really bizarre. There's really something active going on.
So they're more humanoid shapes.
Yeah, humanoid shapes. I think they're bilateral, bipedal, humanoids.
Okay.
I don't know if they're Homo sapien. I don't know if they're a different type of hominid, but they appear to have two arms, a face with two eyes. They have clothes on. Why are they wearing clothes? They're not animals. It's in what appear to be looking like women. They have one garb that looks like what a woman would wear. And the guys that are, people that look like men are wearing what looks like what a man. So it's so bizarre. But when you look at the Enuma Elish and the seven tablets of creation, the Ijiji, after they came here and was getting ready to go to war against Enki and Enlil, when they're genetically modified humans on the planet and create a worker race, these Ijiji said they took women back with them to Mars. So they were sick and tired of not having women. That's another thing they complain about. This is an ancient text. They complain about not having women, and they took. So these are the gods, these are the sons of God, the sons of Anu, that made it with the daughters of men in the Old Testament of the Bible. And he had sons by him, had kids by him. Incredible stuff.
That is incredible stuff. Has there been any contact?
I think between governments, I think the government has been in contact with the people that are on the moon. We were able to get the black box audio tapes through the Freedom of Information Act for the Apollo 11 mission, and the redacted printed documents from the black box. So we have the text and the actual audio. And on there, you hear one of the astronauts as they're passing over the moon, trying to get to their landing location. He says, "Look at those conical, craters." Now, a conical crater means, the word conical means dome. So you're looking at those dome structures is what he's really saying, in a way that's elusive to the average person. Conical crater. And then Neil goes, "Wow, I bet the people down there never get out." Why would he say something like that? I mean, that's
pretty wild.
Would he say something like that? They sent a mission up there after that called the Clementine mission. The military did. This Apollo. They said, we got to find out what this is. They sent this low lunar orbit satellite called Clementine. Now, the first thing I did when I heard about this Clementine mission was I knew right away that meant that it didn't come back. And as I began to research it, guess what? It didn't come back. Why did I think it wasn't going to come back? Because when I heard the word Clementine, I knew the song right away. I'm a 70s baby. So I heard these old songs. My mom used to play these folk songs. Oh, my darling Clementine, you were lost and gone forever. So that's the song saying that this woman left and never came back. So I knew right away that the Clementine mission was never going to come back. And at the end of my research, I discovered it never came back. It supposedly crashed on the far side of the moon. But it did send back thousands of images. And in all those images, guess what there is? Anomalies. Crazy anomalies from that side. And another thing that the astronauts said was that when they were on that far side of the moon, that they heard singing coming in through their earpieces, like they were listening to a choir. This is well documented. It's not even like a conspiracy. They heard it coming in through patched into their headsets, like singing coming in through their thing as they passed across the backside. Now, when you look into the ancient tablets, that sent me back to the tablets again. You find out that there's this war that one of the nephews started against he broke some kind of code, kind of like he broke a peace time or whatever, and started another war, and he was defeated, and him and his people were banished in the ancient text, Sumerian tablets, to go live on the moon. And that's where they were banished to. It's possible that that's a remnant of that civilization up there right now. Who knows? Living underground. Because when you look at Chris Maroney from Mars Anomalies, one of the people in our group, he looked at the USGS ground penetrating radar data and saw that about 30 meters beneath the surface, there's these gigantic steel beams up there. And that's directly downloaded with no editing. You can just see them. So it's incredible.
Wow.
So I believe that there's substructures there. That's why it rang like a bell. It's been hollowed out, and I think there's people living up there. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, the moon, right? And that's because I've heard of that theory where it's like a structure. It's hollow inside.
Right.
So
right.
and so they dug it out because I was wondering, it's like, okay, how can there was this thing that something hit the moon and it just like rung like it was empty or hollow inside.
Yeah, they smashed one of the capsules into the moon, and just to see what would happen seismically, and it rang like a bell for hours. And if you look at all of the craters on the moon, you start to go, wait a minute, how come all these craters are the same depth? What's beneath that depth? Then you go, wait a minute, why are all the craters direct hits? How come nothing hit and slid into a position? How come there's no skid marks of these asteroids or whatever, comets hitting?
Yeah.
Everything is a direct hit. Come on, man. And then when you analyze, you take those craters and blow them up, there's always looks like a structure in the center of every single one. And when you look at the ridge of the crater, there's no ejector material. Where's the ejector material?
Right.
There's no ejector. So
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot
I just didn't give it much thought.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, well, in my mind, wouldn't it be like a metallic material then, or something?
I think there's
or something to sustain itself, or maybe if it's orbiting, I don't know how that works.
I think that there's a substructure, metallic substructure of some advanced type of material, probably holding, some type of interior base that's underneath the surface. I don't know if we don't know if it's completely hollow all the way out, and that's a lot of mass. Right. But there could be these gigantic honeycomb type of steel encased bases underneath the surface, that anybody can live there.
Yeah, it's not like a ball that's empty inside.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Got it. So basically, it's not like a piece of asteroid or something like that turned into a moon. Someone created it.
It seems like it was created and it used to orbit this Tiamat planet. We pulled it along with us, and I think a lot of that debris that's on top of the moon surface, in terms of in other words, the dust or whatever you want to call it, came from this explosion that happened with the planet. And if you look at Mars used to orbit Tiamat. This can be traced back. Now, scientists know that the way Mars orbit is, you can go in reverse, and you can go all the way back as far as you want in reverse. The computer will create the simulation, and you discover that Mars used to orbit something, and it used to orbit the planet, which is now the asteroid belt. When it blew apart, a big chunk of that hit Mars on one side, the side that it was facing, and that's why one side of Mars is charred and the other side is smooth. And then Mars got released into this weird elliptical orbit that it's in this very strange orbit where sometimes it's only 40 million miles away, and sometimes it's like 180 million miles away, depending on the period. And that's because it was slingshot out from the explosion. It was released from this orbit that it had around Tiamat. So when you start looking into all the science data and then matching with the ancient texts, everything paints the picture of advanced civilizations that were here, and maybe even some survivors on some of these moon planets in our solar system.
So Going back a bit, I've heard of some Marines having claimed they've served on Mars
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and participated in wars.
Yeah.
So, any photographic evidence, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we don't have any photographic at least I've never seen any photographic evidence, but what we do have is a lie detector test from at least one person. So Captain Randy, who claims to have been on one of these 20-year missions, 20 years in back missions, I think it's the Navy. He took a lie detector test, independently sourced. I think he took 2 of them actually, and he passed them. So that makes you go, wait a minute, this guy's passing lie detector tests about this kind of crazy conspiracy information. Either he truly believes it in his heart to the point where it's so real to him that he passed, or it really did happen. I think in my opinion, something had to happen, and you don't just pass tests like that. And it was he didn't volunteer. Somebody said, to continue your story on our network, we're going to have to give you lie detector tests. And so he agreed to it, and he passed. So
wow, yeah. That's pretty well.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, why do we need like a military on Mars, or why would there be? I don't know. Well, why wouldn't we need?
It could be there could be wild animals there. There could be other beings that are not coming to Earth because we're kind of psychopathic over here. But they could be saying, okay,
that's true.
Yeah, from time to time we'll visit Mars as a research.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. We'll go to Mars.
Humans are rough here.
Research, So they could be researching the planet. There could be other entities from other places researching the planet, hanging out over there or whatever. And just for security purposes and being able to secure any civilization that decides to from Earth that wants to go there, they could be establishing some type of a way station that protects. You got billionaires headed there, and I think they're trying to protect those billionaires.
One last question, and then we'll. So Elon Musk, he's outlined a plan to take hundreds of thousands of people to Mars on a one-way trip.
Yeah.
So if your claims are true, then what will happen when they arrive on the red planet, which isn't really red, and see people there already?
Yeah. So, these people are high-level people. They've already been briefed, or debriefed, I should say. And they've already signed gag orders and everything else. There's already an infrastructure, in my opinion, being built and set up on Mars. I think they're 3D printing homes, just like they use, like the guy in Japan does. He 3D prints about 10 to 12 homes a day, entire homes. Yeah, and it's something that he even 3D printed his own warehouse that he uses to make the homes in. This gigantic.
That's pretty wild.
Puts up regolith and just literally makes this mold of a property. Even leaves out cutouts for electric components and everything else. So I believe that that's going on. Infrastructure is being built. Everything's being set up. And I think that to keep the rest of the world away from knowing what's truly up there, and the reason why they're going on a one-way mission, because they don't want anybody coming back and giving out the information, is they're going to go up there and paint the picture of Columbus, in a way. He discovered he's the first one to land here, but in true reality, he's not. And they'll be waving at the camera and in front of a tin can and in front of a big spacesuit, inside of a big spacesuit. And then when the camera goes off, they're going to take that stuff off and go behind the hill and go down into their nice, beautiful underground base. Billionaires are not going to leave the creature comforts of Earth to go live in a tin can until they die. That's a prison sentence.
That's a prison sentence.
Yeah, it's a prison sentence. They are going to a place that's, trust me, well set up for them to be adventurers that they are and everything else. But at the same time, there's going to be some creature comforts and some luxury when they get there.
That's pretty wild stuff. A lot of good information, Billy. A lot of things to think about. A lot of it kind of resonates with what I see. I don't see that aspect, but I see the resonance and how I work. And then you're just bringing in your information on it too, which is pretty cool. Any closing thoughts, comments? Your I know I follow you on Instagram for the number Forbidden Knowledge. Really cool stuff. Really cool information. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah, we just got to 1 million followers last night, actually. We just hit 1 million there, which is great.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Took 7 years, all organic, all no bots and all this other crazy stuff. Took 7 years to get to 1 million. So I'm pretty excited about that. Not because I got 1 million followers, because I call all my followers leaders. I have 1 million leaders, but I'm excited because it means a lot of people are starting to wake up. They're not afraid to click the follow button. Before they would follow me by manually going. Now they're clicking they're clicking the follow button to get the updates and information, and it shows me that consciousness is going up.
Yeah, I get that too. People following me, but they don't want to follow me.
Right. Exactly.
Until I get more and more momentum, and it's like, oh, this shit's real. And then it's like, yeah, okay, I'll click on it. Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah.
I
got that. I'm doing a Egyptian Mystery School December 7th and 8th. You can find that information in the link in my bio on Forbidden Knowledge, or go to forbiddenknowledge.com. We just did a mystery school, which was phenomenal a few weeks ago at Dame Dash Studios. 12 hours of intense teaching and training and learning in the Egyptian mysteries over 2 days at a time. And we're doing another one December 7th and 8th, so you can register for that. Seats are limited, so if you can get in there and register, I tell you to do it in a hurry, because it's going to be full soon and we won't be able to do it like the last time we had to tell people they couldn't come in.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys. Fantastic conversation. Thanks a lot, Billy.
Appreciate it.
And as we end, guys, notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you're noticing. Take care.
For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.